All right, welcome back to TribPreps. Week 8 is in the books for the Wisconsin high school football season. We have one more to go. We had lots of playoff implications tonight, lots of exciting games, regular share of some one-sided games to set up some big ones for next week. We'll talk about those in a second. I'm Todd Sommerfeld, Sports Editor of Lacrosse Tribune. We have James Krause here with me. I'll start by going down a score list. Tonight we had Holmen 17, Logan 14. Central 42, Sparta 14, Reedsburg 41, Toma 14, Onalaska still unbeaten, 49-13 over Baraboo to round out the MVC scores. West Salem 41-0 over Black River Falls. That was certainly expected. Same with Aquinas 50-16 over Viroqua. That sets those two up for a big matchup next week. We'll talk about that in a second. GET 34, Westby 12. Very good win for the Redhawks there. Westby's played some good football this year. Altoona 60, Arcadia 14. Over the Scenic Bluffs. We have Bangor 34, Onalaska Luther 28. A game James was at that we'll discuss. Cashton 40-0 over Royal. Big win for the Eagles. Gives them at least a share of the conference championship for the second year in a row. Brookwood 30, Nacita 22. Falcons get their first win. In the Dairyland, Pepinelma 59, Melmin 8. Mustangs were trying to win their third in a row and didn't do it. Blair Taylor 31, CFC 17. Big win for the Wildcats because the Pirates were unbeaten going into that one. A couple more scores. Prairie du Chien 30, Broadhead Judah 22. That gives the Blackhawks SWC championship and a good win over a team that was ranked as recently as last week in Broadhead Judah. Chatfield 19, Caledonia 6. Number 1 team in Class AA going against the number 3 team in that one. And the Gophers prevail there. And then we have Cannon Falls 60, La Crescent Hoka 49, another high-scoring game there for the Lancers. I'll be selfish and go to my game first. I was out at Holmen tonight, and what really looked like a toss-up of a game. Two really, I thought, evenly matched teams going into this, the way they've been playing, especially as of late. Holmen started the season with 4 losses in a row. They came back tonight. Logan scored all of its points on its first 2 possessions. And, Holmen was down 14, had the ball at the goal line, fumbled it away. And in that triple option offense that they run, that's a big mountain to climb when you're down 2 touchdowns like that.
Right.
But the Vikings found a way. They scored the last 17 points, had some big plays in the second half, specifically the fourth quarter, to win the game. They had a couple of interceptions tonight. They didn't lead to anything, but they stopped Logan drives. They had a 99-yard touchdown drive after making a goal line stand of their own, which is a really big deal. That was the go-ahead touchdown. Reed Tengblad had a 48-yard run on first and 10 from the 1 on that. So they wanted a little room to work, and he went for 48 yards. Got him near midfield and really got that drive going. Also had a forced fumble on Logan's last possession, took over and ran out the clock. They had a tip ball and a nice stop for no gain on the goal line stand to set that up. So lots of big plays for the Vikings in this one. And like I said, followed up 4 straight losses to start the season with 4 straight wins. And Holmen is in the playoffs no matter what happens against Reedsburg next week. They have that winning conference record. That means the Rangers have to beat Central in the ARC game next week. They're both going to be in the same boat. Both teams need a win there to get to 3-4 and have a chance to get in the playoffs. But that's next week. Tonight the topic was Holmen, and I thought they just played a really good game. Defensively, they got better as they went. Offensively, they got better as they went. It was just impressive just because the way Logan came out and really, took it to Holmen to start the game. They had a nice touchdown drive to start it, stopped Holmen, and then came out. They went to Bradley Check for a long pass to Jacob Hackbarth for a 44-yard touchdown, and the stands there were packed and it was quiet. After that one, it took.
It feels like a departure from sort of what we've talked about throughout the year for Logan, where they're good in games where they get ahead early. Mm-hmm. there were some games early in the year where they had to play from behind and they struggled to win those, obviously. But the ones where they were able to get a leg up on teams, they were able to win. I guess with such an evenly matched up game, 14 points, I mean, as the result shows, early even wasn't enough to keep Holmen down. And now Holmen's playoff bound. That's an interesting story, starting from 0-4, and now they're going to be in the playoffs and probably one of the stronger teams to come out of MVC from all that.
It's hard to not say that. I mean, 4 wins in a row, like I said, they've gotten to that part of the schedule too, where you could see some of those wins were going to come. But like I said, this one I think was a good one, just because of the way Logan had played last week too. It gave, I think, maybe a little clearer picture of what Holmen has. And what that picture was tonight was the ability to make big plays when it needed to, and the ability to put together a 99-yard touchdown drive to go ahead. So impressive showing there. Let's go out to Onalaska now, where you were in that Luther Bangor game, and Bangor gets a big win there. Luther beat Bangor last year to end a very long winning streak that the Cardinals had in the Scenic Bluffs, but
and this year they sort of got revenge.
And they got ahead early. I mean, it was a 6-point game, but you said that Bangor built that lead up, and Luther kind of came back at the end.
Right at halftime, Bangor was trailing actually by 1 point based on a 2-point conversion that Luther got some help with from Bangor on penalty. Bangor came out, they scored 20 points to start the second half. Tanner Jones had 2 of those touchdowns. He also had an interception to set up the third touchdown, which was a run by, Samuel Kropp. So that put them up 34-15, and they held that lead until about 5 minutes to go. They got a fumble recovery off a Luther fumble, and it looked like that was going to be game, but 2 plays later, they fumbled the ball. And they basically set up a red zone drive for the Knights. The Knights go and score. On the next drive, 2 false starts for the Cardinals set them back. I think it made it 1st and 20 on their next drive. They have to throw the ball on 3rd down, even though they're up, 2 scores with like 2 minutes left, and they throw an interception. And Luther's able to drive down the field again. And they scored touchdown with 45 seconds left. Jackson Kendall had, I think, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a really solid game after
sophomore.
Only a sophomore, and he's really talented for his level, especially. Struggled early in the second half. It looked like Bangor was able to pick up more of their passing game early, but down the stretch he was able to get them into a spot where they were in contention with a minute left, and the demeanors of both coaches sort of reflected the last part of that game, where Bangor was more on the side of, listen, we're a good team, but we need to get better. We can't have those mistakes again with, the playoffs coming. And Luther exited, I think, still feeling in a decent spot about playing Cashton next week. I think they have a few things that now they realize they can work on. The field position battle was a big one, according to their coach. But overall, this is one where the scoreboard doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah. Well, and Cashton's just been rolling people this year, but that Bangor game was a 21-7 game. So Bangor was able to hang with Cashton. Now we'll see if Luther can do the same, or if Cashton's just gonna, take the whole thing to itself.
Something I didn't realize entering tonight, and now it's with Luther putting up 28 points, I realize this as well. I've seen every score against Bangor in the conference so far this season. They shut out everyone else, and then I show up and they give up 21 to Cashton, 28 tonight to Luther.
All right. Well, Bangor folks, let us know if you want James to come to another game. In terms of the rest of what happened tonight, like I mentioned, we have that West Salem Aquinas game set up for next week. Championship in the Cooley Conference on the line at UWL. In the summer, we were talking about waiting for that game to happen, and now it's finally here, and they both lived up to the billing to set up a really big game for the area in that game. Onalaska, again, undefeated. All that's standing in its way of an unbeaten season is Toma next week. You have to guess they're going to take care of business in that one. Let's see what else. Blair Taylor, like I said, big win. CFC came in undefeated in that one. The Wildcats still have a chance in the Dairyland. Not a likely chance, but they still have a chance. I mean, Pepinell was playing really good football this year. I think that Caledonia did a pretty good job of hanging in that game with Chatfield.
It was when they scored that touchdown, they made it a one-score game. It was a 12-6 game.
Okay.
Before Chatfield eventually put it away late.
Okay.
So that was a game late. So
yeah,
they had a leg in it.
Yeah, and that's people were excited as they should be with Caledonia's unbeaten start. This was a good test. It's a game that we may see again very soon once the postseason gets going. So we'll see what translates out of this one and goes into that one there. La Crescent Hoka, Carter Todd was back on the field tonight in that one that helped them score 49 points.
157 receiving yards.
Okay. All right. So big game. He got knocked out of the game against a loss against Chatfield last week. So good to see him back out on the field. But I think that takes care of what we have for you tonight. So if you want game stories, videos, photos of stuff from week 8, go to lacrossetribune.com. We have a collection up where we'll put everything into one spot, make it easy for you to find. And we'll have lots of stuff going into next week as well, going into week 9, where we have some teams are still up in the air in terms of playoffs. We'll kind of put all that into perspective for you as well. And then we have each week of these reaction videos that we do at the end of the night available there as well. So lacrossetribune.com. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you again next week.